might want to align with a brokerage that offers opportunities for you to get ahead in life. A lot of people, they think that recruiting is all about them and that they're interesting, that people will want to be there. Whereas I believe recruiting is all about being interested. If you're interested in others and you care about them and their businesses and you find out where they are and where they're trying to go and maybe what they've tried along the way to get there, and if you can put some solutions to the table and be interested in helping them like get that gap that from I'm here, I'm trying to go here, that's what recruiting is all about. It's just caring enough about people to be interested in them and care about them and see if you have some solutions that might solve some of their problems.
How many people do you have in your group now?
I am at 2,278 people in our community today.
Whoa. Fred, I'm excited to have you here today. Welcome to the Get Above the Line podcast.
Excited to be here, man. Thank you.
Today, I want to talk about EXP. I mean, that's like my main topic I want to talk about with you because I've been dying to talk about it with someone.
I love it, man. It's my favorite topic. It's a life-changing topic for me, so I'm passionate about it.
When we first started talking, you were talking about the structure of your team. What's the structure of your team now?
Quick history. I got licensed in 2005, was running solo for a couple of years by myself. One of my really good friends since elementary school starts dating this joker of a guy named Kevin. I finally get to meet him. He tells me that he's interested in real estate. I'm already in real estate, so we start talking. Then he recruits me over to Keller Williams Realty. I leave my brokerage, and he's a new licensee. He gets licensed in '07, joins KW, recruits me over there. And a couple months later, we start having some conversations because the market's kind of crazy. Maybe we should team up, partner together, like just help each other not go get jobs and quit real estate. And so we do. And our team starts out just the two of us. And my brother is a free admin, essentially. He's like, we're paying him on hey, we'll pay you later, right? Paying him on promises. Yeah. And over time, obviously, our team changes. We become less focused on distressed sales, but that's how we get our start. And then also over time, Kevin and I make some decisions that we're no longer gonna be the guys who succeed in our real estate team off of doing listing appointments and working with buyers. We're gonna fully succeed through other people, which was a big step for us. So anyway, our team today is made up of about 15 people here in the Phoenix, Arizona market. We've been closing a couple hundred homes a year on average over the last 5-6 years. We've had some, our low year was 60 sales in 2008. Our high year was probably, I think it was 560 some odd sales in 2017, 18. One of those two. I don't remember the date with the year, but so we've got agents that represent both buyers and sellers. We work our database, we work agent referrals, we hold open houses, and we work a lot of internet leads. Those are kind of our main pillars. And got some great people that have worked with us for many years. We're very blessed in that regard. Got agent on our team that's been with us for 11 years. One of our other leaders has been with us for 8 or 9. Our lead admin's been with us about that same amount of time, 8-9 years. So we've got some new folks, but we also have some people that have been in our world for a long time.
Wow. So you've been in it for a while. Like the changes, I mean, you said you're over 500 houses.
Yeah.
How many agents did you have at that time?
We peaked at over 100 agents on our roster, right?
Whoa.
And like, if there's anything, I think you learn about real estate and running a team is that typically the more bodies you have, the higher level of production. There's some outliers. There's some people that have some machines that, less than 20 agents and sell 500 to 1,000 houses a year, but per agent productivity, is rather low in our industry and rather low on teams. And so the bigger your team gets, the more successful overall.
I've been thinking a lot about profitability lately, and I don't know where I read it, but then it was something about teams as they stand, it becomes harder and harder to create profit out of those teams, especially when the lead person is not in production. But then looking at that team model versus a team model or an organizational model at EXP or at some of the other brokerages that are out there. And I think like when you guys first introduced that thought to me, like I got overwhelmed by it. I started chasing it and I screwed things up a bit. And then I totally pulled back from it. I totally pull back from like really growing the organization as opposed to the team. And now I'm like back to that thought. And that's really
Yeah.
what got me on this. This
Well,
is really why I wanted to talk to you today.
so let me tell you a little story that I think will help. I mean, so here's Kevin and I, right? We've been working together since '08. We're in the trenches. We're negotiating short sales. Like, I think 2010, our average sales price is 120,000. Like, so we're just, you got to do a lot of volume to make money. And
Yeah.
then, here we are. We kind of get pitched this vision of like, hey, the way to sell even more real estate and make more profit, I love to use that word, is to go out and expand into other markets. And so, here we are at our previous brokerage and learned a lot, had a lot of great people there. But essentially, like we wake up sometime in late 2016, maybe early mid 2017, and we both just have this moment of like, have we been lied to? Like, that's the predominant message. Like,
Yeah.
we're now almost at this point, we're coming up on 10 years of working together, 10 years of running a real estate business, 10 years of being at this same brokerage. And we just, we've sold all the houses, we've won all the awards, we've ran around the country and taught other agents how to do short sales and taught other team building and recruiting and hiring classes. But we're looking at like our personal bank accounts and we're looking at our net worth, if you will. And we're just kind of asking the question, like, have we been lied to? Like, essentially, like, have we been on this hamster wheel that's like we think is going somewhere, but really, like, here we are almost 10 years in and it hasn't gone as far as we thought it would. Maybe we're pitched that it would, et cetera. And so, really, Bob, like, the reason that we do what we do today at EXP is because I want to help other agents, like, get off this like path that many of them I think are on, which is like just make the team bigger, build it larger, keep going. Like you just haven't gotten there. You haven't got good enough at hiring and you're at 10
Yeah.
years, you got to go another 10. And like kind of this whole anthem of like, it's all about top level, top line production and units sold. And we glorify all the wrong things. Right. And we don't talk about profitability and we don't talk about all the sacrifices these people are making to build these teams and businesses. And so, you know, we had this light bulb moment of like, I think too, I don't want to sound like we're victims, but like, I think we've been buying into this like story that like running this team was going to solve all of our problems and create all the wealth and all the lifestyle we wanted. And meanwhile, the brokerage is like, just go sell more homes. Because why? Well,
Yeah.
brokerages get paid on, like they get paid on units sold, transaction fees on the units sold and company dollar and commission splits on selling more units. Like they don't talk about profit, right? They're not incentivized to help you profit.
Right.
I've actually learned, I think profit is made more through expense management than it is through raising your revenue, for the record. Now, you have to have a decent amount of revenue to manage expenses well and create profit. But a lot of people
Yeah.
just think, I'll go sell more houses. That will make me more profitable. When in fact, there's more of an expense management, cost of sale conversation. But anyway, Bob, so here we are. We're like at our old brokerage. We're there almost 10 years. Well, we actually, both of us had been there 10 years at that point, been running the team for 9 plus. And we're just like, there's got to be a better way. And so we avoid, we're going to go look at other brokerages, but we're not going to tell anybody. And we actively avoid EXP Realty. Like we won't even talk to people there. We both have had these experiences of people there where we're like, that is not what we want. We have our understanding and our misconceptions about what it is. So we actively avoid going to EXP. We fly to New Jersey and we meet with the then Realogy heads and Coldwell Banker and all these brands, right? Better Homes and Gardens, et cetera. We stay local and some people fly in to meet us and we're over here in my conference room, we're meeting with people and we do all these meetings and we're like, none of those sounded any better. So I think we'll just start our own thing. Like by default, we're trying to find something new. I think we'll start our own thing. We go down that path for 60 days. We look up one day in a meeting, we're like, what are we doing? This is ridiculous. None of us want to be building a brokerage. We're supposed to be excited. We're starting a brokerage and none of us are excited. So we finally, I think the day after that meeting, we're like, I guess we should call our friend Curtis. Our friend Curtis had just moved over to EXP like 6 months prior. He told us, hey, you guys should really join EXP. I literally said this to him. Let me see if I can get that to work. That's what I said when he said you should join EXP. And I'm like, all right, let's go hear him out because we've now explored all these brokerage options. We don't like them. We feel like we're not getting ahead at our current place. So let's go to the one thing we're avoiding and at least check it out.
Why were you avoiding it? Why did you say hell no?
I had an impression on what I thought it was. There were people at the company that turned me off that didn't talk about real estate production. So it's like I was running from this company that we only talked about production and top unit lines, saying that's not for me. But I was also hesitant to go to this other company over here where my impression was like that's where people went out to pasture. That's where they went out to retire and not sell real estate. And
Yeah,
they also were rather aggressive and like just turned me off in their approach of like telling people they were stupid for not being at their company, right? Which that's never been a great recruiting method. So
right.
that's why we were actively avoiding it. Just a couple people gave me an impression, and I built a story around why I shouldn't go there.
It's interesting because I feel like I mean, we took a poll of why. I think that that's a pretty common thought. Of the conversations I've had with people that aren't at EXP, it's one person or two people are the reasons why they won't come. They say, well, this person's there and I don't want to be associated with that person. Or, it's just interesting that you say that because I
Yeah.
think that's a pretty common thing.
Which is funny because I came from a brokerage of 125,000 plus people where there was a lot of people I didn't like, right? And here I
Yeah.
was evaluating a brokerage at the time that was probably 6 to 10,000 people. And there was a couple people I didn't like there too. And Kevin really helped me work through that where he was like, dude, there's always going to be somebody at your brokerage you don't like, but like, what could this be, right? And so to kind of continue with this, like when I finally sat down with Curtis and had lunch one day and lasted a couple hours, I saw for the first time, like, hold on a second, like all this expansion we've been doing, opening up new teams around the country, spending all this money to expand our real estate team brand, limiting ourselves to a degree on who we could recruit, because there's only so many people that are going to join your brand and your team.
Yeah.
And there's always other great people in the industry you like and respect, but how do you get in business with them? What does that model look like? And so it was the first time I went, maybe our new expansion strategy is just partnering with all these awesome friends of ours across the country, and them joining EXP and joining our organization, as you said. That was probably the word I used back then. Today I call it our community. It's how I differentiate team
Hmm.
from community. I just consider anybody that's at EXP with us in our downline or organization as our community. And I differentiate people that are on my sales team that pay me a split on every transaction as people that are on my team. And, team members always want to know, what have you done for me lately? Community members and organization members are like just so grateful for anything you do for them because they don't pay you
Yeah.
for it. And it's just like your business partners to a degree. So
Right.
anyway, Bob, that was a really long answer, but I wanted to give you the story of like kind of just feeling like we were lied to. We were going nowhere. We weren't getting ahead. And not that EXP was a get rich quick scheme. I didn't join it thinking I was going to get rich quick. I didn't join it thinking I was going to become some network marketing specialist. I just joined it thinking, there's they value real estate agents more at this company. They give more to agents. They're more ahead of the curve. Like they're moving more towards where things are going versus the old model I left was very brick and mortar franchise territory, old school people that have been there a while. There's a younger vibe over here. There's more opportunity. And so just looked at it and said, maybe this model over here has some solutions for us that could actually help us build some additional revenue streams and additional wealth, if you will, over the next 10 years versus buying a franchise and trying that system.
The thing that's got me like, I mean, it's taken me, well, I don't know how long, 3 years now I've been at EXP, I think, but it's taken me this long to actually like appreciate that model, like that piece of the model. Like I really, and I set myself up for that when I went too hard at it in the beginning, right? I probably sounded like those people that push people away, like that I was so excited and I was so energized about seeing it for the first time, like, or
Yeah.
understanding it and, understanding enough to move my business there.
Well,
So,
let me say this to you, Bob. Maybe this will
yeah,
help. I think a lot of people, they think that recruiting is all about them and that they're interesting, that people will want to be there. Whereas I believe recruiting is all about being interested. Like if you're
and
interested in others and you care about them and their businesses and you find out where they are and where they're trying to go and maybe what they've tried along the way to get there. And if you
yeah,
can bring some solutions to the table and be interested in helping them, like, get that gap that from I'm here, I'm trying to go here. I mean, that's what recruiting is all about. It's just caring enough about people to be interested in them and care about them and see if you have some solutions that might solve some of their problems.
It's funny. I have 4 agents, new agents onboarding to our team this week. We had the same conversation about selling real estate today, exactly how you said it, like almost to the T. Like, is that you have to be interested in what you got to know what they want, or you got to figure that out. And that's the reason why people fail at real estate, because they don't ask enough questions and they try to sell something.
Yeah, they think that the nicer their business card looks, the more interesting that makes them, the more somebody's gonna want to do business with them. But people don't really care about that stuff. They care about themselves. We all care about ourselves to a certain degree.
When it comes to being interested in helping people, like, what does it look like for someone else to be part of your world? And I'm not saying I know, but I'm asking you because I'm sure there's other examples. For me, it's having conversations with you like this right now. How
Yeah.
many have we had where, I'm at a moment that the conversation wouldn't be the same with someone that wasn't connected to me, right? In
Yeah.
business.
We all hear the sayings around like, you're sort of the average of the 5 people you hang around or whatever. But I think what this really comes down to is environment. And I think that at EXP, Kevin and I have built an environment of collaboration and sharing. And we have ongoing regular masterminds. Some of those are online, some of those are in person,
Yeah.
right? We have ongoing and regular community activities and things that we do. My buddy Dustin Runyon recently said, environment is the invisible force that shapes human behavior.
Mm,
And I think that like there's so much to that to unpack there because like here we have a virtual brokerage, EXP Realty, where like you and I see each other, Bob, but like in person, we probably only see each other once, maybe twice a year if we're lucky.
yeah.
Um, and so like what is it that causes us both to get great benefit out of being connected and partnered with one another? Well, I think it's the environment that we all create. It's the relationships that we all have, and that there's a level of thinking and there's a level of sort of shared values, if you will, that many of us have. And that when you get in that room, like your level of thinking goes up and your level of like, I want to go out and do more goes up. And I think that what we've seen at EXP, man, is we've seen team leaders that are tired and worn out. They've been doing the same thing Kevin and I were doing for years, and they're looking
Yeah.
for something else. And they've come on board and they've found out that, oh, my agents actually get something of value here at EXP, right? And I get some new energy and I get some life in me and I get some additional benefits. We've seen some of our friends that already sell a ton of real estate, but they're stuck because they think it all has to be around them. We've helped a lot of them solve tons of leverage problems over the last few years because
Hmm.
it's one thing to go to a class and learn about leverage. It's another thing to talk to somebody that's walked down the path and done what you want to do to get some
Yeah.
time back in their life, right? And then, I mean, we've seen other agents that have come in and, I think of our buddy Daniel here in Arizona. I take like zero credit for it, but I just think it has to do with the environment. Here's a guy that like, joined EXP and was selling, I don't know, 10 or so houses a year, maybe 12, 15. And now the guy, he's carrying like 10 to 12 and as many as 15 pendings right now, just by himself, like here in 2024. Because he's surrounded by people that are leveraged, that have got him to focus on lead generation, that are like to leverage out all the other pieces of his business he doesn't need, and have challenged him. And like this is just a young kid that's kind of grown up in real estate in the last 24 months, all because there's a bunch of people around him that care about him because he's a cool, awesome dude, and are like just sewing into him and helping him. So anyway, I don't know if that lands for you at all, Bob. That
It
when
it
I
does.
think of this community, I just think of people that like they care more about me and my profitability than they do just the top level production. Again, brokerages are designed just to care about how many houses you sell because that's how they monetize us as agents. But when
Yeah.
you get around a bunch of other agents that have been there, done that, the conversation has a lot more depth to it than just go sell more real estate.
It's really good to hear that from you. I don't plug in as much as I should, and I think that piece of it. So for anyone that's listening that doesn't know this, is like, I guess they would know it about Blair. Blair's from KW. I mean, she worked. I mean, she was plugged in to KW, right? And I don't think she's really plugged into EXP. Well, I really haven't. It's probably my fault. It's got a lot to do with it too. But I think about, because that would be the thing that she brings up, is having the office and having the people and having the community within the office. And then I think back to the office days where we'd go, I worked in the office all the time, but sometimes I would never see another agent in the office the whole time I was there. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, it is what you make of it. Like if you set up a meeting to meet with a bunch of agents at the office, well, then there'll be a bunch of meetings there or people there. But if you don't, well, nobody's going to be there. So it's like, that's one of the things about EXP I think that people don't really wrap their head around is like, if there's no one in the office, what good is it to have an office? Like if there's not the community or if there's not those people connected, that you can connect with people outside of the office just as easy as you can within that space, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the challenge with office space nowadays, like, is when we were officed inside of our old KW office, like you always get the gotta minutes, and it's like so you're kind of used, if you will. I mean, even the office, like the KW franchise system, it's really smart. Like when they bring new agents in, like they have this walk. It's got its own name and everything, right? That a team leader is supposed to do to walk you around the office and introduce
Oh
you to all
yeah.
the top agents, and like it's a great recruiting tactic. But
Yeah.
like you're essentially used as a top agent. Like you're
Yeah.
like, and like there's no financial benefit for you. And then these agents, like they're told they get to spend time with you. So they come knock on your door and all of a sudden you're not making a lot of money because you're constantly asking, answering questions of other people or being interrupted. And so, yeah, there's some challenges for some people in the virtual world, but more of us work virtually, whether you say you have an office or not, than we're probably even aware of at
Yeah.
this point in time.
I also think back to like when I joined EXP, and I'm sure you remember that because it was a debacle. I mean, it was messed up. The broker had his power went out or something, and we had 10 to 12 agents that were waiting for all of our licenses. I had a tarp over the sign out front because we changed the sign and we're getting ready to pull the tarp off of it. And we got a call from his assistant saying that his power was out. Like, you know, go to the Starbucks or something. I don't know
Yeah, right.
how to help someone that doesn't know how to operate
Find a
without
solution.
power.
I don't
But
know what you want me to tell you. Yeah.
I was so frustrated and so upset. And from that, I gained so much respect for EXP because of the people that reached out to me and told me they cared, like that I'd never met before. They were connected to you guys, or they were connected somehow. I mean, there's executives from the company and people that you guys were friends with, and that called and said, "Look, we care about you, and we care that you come work with us." And never experienced anything like that before. Whereas you think you would experience stuff like that, but it's not as normal as it seems. But then, my frustration with that broker, like somebody, I think it was Curtis, he left me like this voicemail. I don't have, I think I deleted it, but it was really, I mean, I keep the voicemail for 3 years. It was not that good, but it was close. But he said something about looking up. It was like, in any situation, you're going to have things go wrong, but then it's how that wrong gets turned into a right. I don't know how he said it, but it was eloquent. I mean, it was like, uh, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
But
dude,
I've just thought about that. And the other thing about EXP is constantly trying to find better people for the positions. And now the brokers we have right now in the state of
incredible,
Kentucky
right?
are
Yeah.
two of the best brokers. I can't imagine having a better broker, but there's two
Yeah.
of them, not just one.
Agreed.
There's
Agreed,
two
man. Yeah. And you
badasses.
get into other states in the country and you've got 5 brokers and you've got 10 brokers. And like, it just depends on how many agents are in that state. Like, so this is the unfair advantage we have. A lot of people will ask the question like, well, is it too late to join EXP? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, there's some time limit or something? Like you realize this industry turns over every 5 or 10 years, like 90% of us turn over anyway. But like all we've done is built like the most sustainable brokerage model on the planet. And I don't think any of us joined for the stock. Like it was a nice benefit on the side. And it still continues to be. I still love buying stock in our company and getting into discount and all being given stock. But there's these people that are kind of trying to make brokerage decisions nowadays based on like lottery tickets. They're like, I'm going to pull a ticket. I think this might be the next new one. I'm a ground floor opportunity. And here we are at EXP, man. We're a well-oiled machine, around 90,000 people. We've got some of the best staff. We've got some of the best brokers. We have the highest production. Like, I don't know if you know this, Bob, but if you just take the top 200 agents in our company's production and you like sucked them out of EXP and moved them over to XYZ company, like we'd be one of the top 5 brokerages in the entire country just based on production of our top 200 teams, right? Like we just have like our CEO, Leo Preja, just keeps saying over and over, this is like EXP is where the pros go. Like this is just absolutely where the professionals go and they say, I'm the brand. I don't necessarily need another brand. I want a company that sees me as the brand, that gets behind me, that supports me, that has things built into their model where I can wake up at the end of my career and have a little something set aside, receive some benefits along the way. And if I want to help grow the company, I can put myself in a position where, I mean, it beats any residual recurring revenue you could ever create, outside of like buying a ton of investment properties, which investment properties are awesome. But I sat in a room recently and I asked a group of 30 people, like, tell me about your best cash flow on your best investment, right? So there's 30 of us, a bunch of us that own real estate. And like, I think the best story was a $900 cash flow a month, right? I'm like, that's awesome. And someday that asset will be worth more. And you'll cash flow 2,500 or $3,000 instead. But like you've had to put a lot of time, money, and effort into like even owning that property to have $900 of cash flow. Whereas like you can just do a tiny bit of recruiting here at EXP and easily find your mortgage being paid for, your car payment being paid for. Your kids' tuition being paid for, college tuition being paid for. And that's just one of the beautiful things I like is that I don't think when Glenn Sanford built this company, he envisioned people making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in our revenue share program, Bob. I think he just looked at it and he was like, man, if I could give people a platform where these agents that have been around for a while, that they could recruit 2 or 3 agents a year, just their friends as they're doing cross sales and people they know, they look up at the end of their career and have 20 or 30 people they brought in. I mean, those 20 or 30 would have duplicated and maybe they got 50 people in their little organization, but their little organization spits out an extra 40 grand. 50 grand, 60 grand a year, 70 grand a year to them, right? And like that type of money matters because again, I think to a degree we're all a little lied to. We're very focused on today and right now, and we don't really focus on what are you going to do when you're done selling real estate? I mean, our buddy Curtis always says like most real estate agents don't retire, they just expire. And that's a sad, sad statement, but it's a very, very true statement as well. How many agents do we know in our markets that are still selling real estate long after their prime because they didn't put anything away? They didn't have any other exit or off ramp, if you will, off of this business.
That 5%, the buying the stock.
Yeah.
If you think about a struggle with profit, I mean, the fact that was coming off the top, it comes off the top. I mean, the amount of money you save, or I guess it would be like, it would be considered profit because that would have been money that probably would have spent on something else.
It's a forced savings plan, right? And
it's crazy.
Like this company has, EXP Realty, for those of you out there who might be listening, like the reason I call us sustainable is because we are like, we've been profitable over the past few years. We have $100 million plus in the bank account. We have no debt to our name as a company. Like this is a company that's not going anywhere for a while. And the company's trying to do the same for you. They're offering little things along the way where, hey, put 5% of your commission aside and you can buy stock in our company at a discount. Like maybe the stock goes up wildly over the next 5 years, or maybe it just goes up gradually. But either way, you would be a smart real estate agent to just like buy into the idea of putting 5% aside instead of looking up at the end of the year and realizing you had nothing saved, right? And so it's these little things that they just add up to a lot for the average real estate agent.
It does. It does. It does. And then it's hard not to like, because that's not what everybody's looking for, but you don't know you're looking for it if you're not looking, like you don't know until you know.
Yeah,
and that's the
I'm not
challenge.
suggesting anybody's joining EXP just for our stock program, but I sure am suggesting that you might want to align with a brokerage that offers opportunities for you to get ahead in life. That's all I'm saying, right? Like values you as an agent, helps you sell more real estate, but also, encourages you to take something off the table, if you will, as you're going.
So what about the new companies that are coming in? I mean, have you lost people that you've been working with that have gone to the new companies because they feel like they're getting, like you brought that up a minute ago?
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny. Remember earlier when I said like I had my perceptions around EXP and like I was never going there, like actively avoiding it. I think there's a good percentage of people out there that have told themselves a similar story that they were never going to EXP. And so they've seen some copycats pop up, and the copycats have given them permission to acknowledge that their current brokerage model is not really supporting them, while also still allows them to be right and not have to join EXP. So
Yeah.
I'll be straight. I think there's a good percentage of these other companies out there. Here's the reality, dude. Nobody's opening a brokerage in 2024 and beyond that doesn't have some sort of like, unattachment to heavy brick and mortar. Nobody's opening a brokerage that doesn't have plans and visions for agents being able to profit or grow revenue share by adding people to the company. I
Yeah.
mean, all these new models, even existing companies are trying all over the country right now to come up with revenue share plans, and how could we try to match that, So EXP's changed the game. That's my point in saying that. Yeah, there's people are always coming and people are always going. The thing about these ground floor opportunities is that like most ground floor opportunities never get off the ground. I mean, most ground floor opportunities end up like 6 feet underground at some point, right? Like the
Yeah.
founders ran out of money, they borrowed themselves into debt. I won't speak to any of our competitors out there, but we have some that are running out of money, and we have others that have borrowed themselves into some heavy, heavy debt where the company is not agent owned anymore. The company is not owned majority by the founders. And so anytime, your company is owned by outside capital, you have to always like ask the question, like, how's this going to look 5 years from now? How's this going to look 3 years from now, 10 years from now?
Yeah.
Because any investor that's loaning a real estate brokerage money wants what? They want a return on their investment. So something's
Yeah.
going to have to change, right? Fee structure, whatever. Like something's going to have to change.
There should be a directive from like Gary Keller or something that says, don't post your profit share. Like, because when I see some people that have been there, like own market centers, team leaders, people that have been in the business of bringing agents on, and their profit share is less than my revenue share when I've put no effort into recruiting. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
look at it, I'm like, why are you bragging about that?
Yeah.
Like it,
I
like,
was just spending time with a friend this weekend, Bob, and Bennett at KW for 15 plus years. And on average, every single month, he averages out to $600 to $700 of profit share a month, right? And it's not, it's nothing to spit at. That
no,
is like decent income. But 15 years of like running a team and being well known and helping his market center out, and he's got roughly 8,000 or a little bit less coming in every year. And I looked at him and I said, like, you realize like EXP just rolled out something called Revenue Share 2.0. I said, you realize if you just brought two full cappers over to EXP with you, that you would replace the profit share money. And oh, by the way, Gary Keller's still going to pay you out your profit share if those other agents stay at KW. He reversed course on that here in May of 2024. So like, you could just come over and let's just get you two people, and now all of a sudden you doubled your residual income, and now $16,000 a year is coming in without you ever selling a house. I know you can't go like live on 16 grand a year, but an
yeah,
extra 16 grand coming in every year is pretty nice. But guess what? If you can recruit two, we can add to that. So yeah, man, I'm really excited, if you don't mind me sharing, about our Revenue Share 2.0, because what Glenn Sanford and EXP have essentially done is they've made it a no-brainer to join us over the competition, Bob. They've said, you know
yeah,
what? Some of the competition was incentivizing people higher on their level one when they recruit somebody. But you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna throw a bonus in. Like we're gonna make it $4,000, when you recruit somebody in your first year, effective July 2024. And you know what? Like you don't have to recruit a bunch of people. If you just recruit one who brings over a big team or a couple big teams, we're going to pay you a bunch of revenue share on agents in your level 1, 2, and 3. And so like EXP's essentially, they've made it easier to get off the ground. So I believe we're going to see over the next year or so, we're going to see a wave of more people going, like EXP's rev share program. Sure, there were some others out there that like built some competitive looking stuff, but EXP just made it easier to grow. And I got 7 levels instead of other models that have less. And look, maybe revenue share is not your thing, but here's the deal. If you're going to sell real estate for the next decade, or you've already been doing it for a decade,
yeah,
you're going to have a couple people a year that are interested in knowing what you're doing and why your sales are up and why you're so happy. And they're just going to come join your brokerage. You don't have to consider that recruiting. They're just going to come anyway. It's like if you have a real estate license and you do a good job, like sooner or later, people start calling you and referring you business, even if you sucked at like calling your sphere. Now, if you
Yeah.
call them, you get more referrals. But if you just do it for a long enough time, even if you haven't called your sphere, you still get
It
referrals.
happens.
It just happens naturally. It's just how the
Just
world
happens.
works, right? And
Right.
that's what happens over here at EXP. And so, man, like we're in a tough market right now. Like I'm in the Phoenix market. Our sales are down, in 2020, over 110,000 homes sold in Phoenix, 110,000. So that's like 220,000 agents, for the most part on two sides represented those 110. This year, we're going to be about 70,000 sales. That's only 140,000 sides, right? And so that's a pretty big decline. And there's a lot of agents out there that have been doing this business for a long time that you may you may kind of laugh at the 5 or 10 grand a year that somebody makes on their revenue share, the 20 grand, because you don't think 2 grand a month's that big of a deal. But I promise you, when you have it coming in, it is life changing. It relieves so much pressure. And that's the beauty of this EXP model is not that you want to, everybody has to go out and create hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in revenue share, but that just about anybody, Bob, that was willing to follow a system and tell other people about the company and love the company like I do, that they could build a couple grand of residual income for themselves every single month.
When I say I'm excited, like I'm like more excited today than I was when I started at EXP. Like I really
Dude, me
think
too.
that,
I'm being serious. 6 years ago when I joined the company, like I was like, the revenue share could be good, but I didn't, it wasn't like my leading thing. I thought it could solve some of our problems, but I didn't have these huge expectations. Here I am 6 years later. I'm like, dude, this is freaking awesome. And I'm at a place, and I don't say this from an egotistical place at all, but I'm at a place where it's not that I need more money. I'm not like rooting for my group size to grow and my revenue share to go up for me personally. It's I freaking love working with people that just joined this company. My friend Tyler just brought his 75-person team over to EXP in the last 60 days. And
wow.
I've got multiple meetings going on with him. And then he brought a friend of his team over. And like I love watching Tyler, who's doing the kind of the same thing we are. Like he's kind of being like, I love the team, and it's not all I thought it would be after I've been doing this longer. And so I'm excited to keep running and growing the team where I can do more of that at EXP. But I'm
Yeah.
also excited to have this other opportunity to help other people join our company, join our community, just, increase their sales and also create some more income for myself. So that's the stuff I get excited about, dude.
Well, let's go back to the 2.0 thing because I caught most of the thing. But what did you say? An agent when they bring someone in their first year?
So the first year, you earn $4,000 in the first year on a capper. So our cap at EXP is $16,000, 80-20 split. If you just go out and grab two cappers in the market, Bob, that aren't joining your team on a
Oh, okay.
discount cap, you get a bonus on the revenue share. So it equals out to $4,000 paid on just recruiting one person. Like that's ridiculous money, just recruiting one person. Uh,
Yeah.
and then we also made it just easier to earn money. So like you don't need a bunch of what we call qualifying agents, Bob, to unlock all these levels anymore. Levels 1, 2, and 3 are just like they're unlocked. They're the money's coming your way.
Yeah.
So
That
we made
affects
it
me.
even easier.
It
It does.
affects
It
me.
affects
It
it affects
affected
some of
me.
my other friends too, Bob. They're like,
Yeah.
dude, I just got a raise, and I'm like, yeah, you did. And I'm freaking excited for you.
Yeah. How many people do you have in your group now?
I am at 2,278 people in our community today.
Whoa. That's awesome, man.
Dude,
That's awesome.
I was excited when it hit 100, and when it hit 500, I thought I had won the lottery. I was like, how did this happen? But it's been a lot of fun, dude. And what I've learned over the last couple of years, I didn't realize this the first few years, but there's an actual process to growing this. Just like there's a process to growing any business, there's a process and a model to follow, and there's some best practices that work. And so I just, I love sharing those, man. I love helping people. I love helping people help people. Like, look, we're not in the auto ship industry. We're not signing people up for juices and whatever vitamins. Like we're just real estate agents that are helping other real estate agents improve their life, sell more homes, get more leverage, get more time back, have more, when it's all said and done, have a real community of people that care about them and their profitability. And so this isn't hard to recruit to. Like I used to have a negative connotation on recruiting because I didn't like when people tried to recruit me, but it's because people didn't care about me. They weren't interested in me. They just thought they could be interesting, or they saw me as some path to hitting their goals. But
Yeah.
dude, when you get interested about people and care about them, like that's where recruiting gets to be a lot of fun. And I mean, this
Yeah.
is a great company. I'm still jazzed up today, dude.
Well, that's why I wanted to talk to you today. And I'm excited, more excited than I was than when we started this conversation. I got a lot from it, ready to make some phone calls and talk to some people.
I love it,
I need
dude.
to, I
You
need
know
to,
what the best thing I do is I'm just an inviter, Bob. Like I've just figured out my recruiting style is just being a good inviter. If there's good content and good masterminds and good, Zoom meetings going on around you and you can add value to people, like you can recruit through that stuff all day long. That's what KW did
yeah,
back in the day. They recruited through events. And so I mean it works. Like you don't have to make this about you. You don't have to make this about does somebody want to change brokerages. There's only a small
yeah,
percentage of people that actually want to change brokerages. It's a pain in the ass, let's be honest. But there's a
yeah.
lot of people out there that when you expose them to a different, bigger way of thinking and you help them, in their life and in their business, there's a lot of people that then go, man, how do I get more of that? Like, give me more of that stuff you got.
You guys didn't try to recruit. I mean, I called you.
No,
Nobody's
I
trying
mean,
to recruit.
Kevin
Well,
and
now
I,
people are trying to recruit me, but before nobody ever even considered calling me. I don't think. I don't
yeah.
know. I never had
Because you
one
guys
person
are
call me.
badasses, man. Top
Yeah,
250 teams in the company, and you guys are just like, kicking some butt there.
could be better.
Well,
Could be
it
better.
will. It
It
will.
could be better. Well, I appreciate
Well,
you coming on here today, man. And
yeah, dude, I just want to encourage people. This isn't about Bob or Fred. This is just about you and your life and your career. And like you owe it to yourself and your family to, explore another model like EXP. You owe it to yourself to just give Bob a call and say, look, I don't know what I'm missing, and I certainly don't think I'm moving anytime soon, but like I want to at least learn more. Like you don't do what I did, which is, stayed stuck for 10 plus years thinking I was getting ahead only to, ignore a lot of the stuff that was going on and to realize, like there's better stuff out there for my family. I can tell you this, man, my wife and son, they freaking love EXP, right?
I
Like I
bet.
mean, they
I
love
bet.
EXP, right? You know what I mean? And
Bet.
and, and it's funny, when a spouse gets involved in looking at EXP Realty, I find that it's a way faster decision. They see it sooner than us because they're
Then
like on the
yeah,
outside looking in, right? They're just one
yeah,
remove, and they see it. They go, dude, your current company doesn't have any of that stuff. Like, why is this even a decision, a consideration? Like, let's
yeah,
go. It's fun. So anyway,
yeah.
yeah, man, good stuff. Thank you for having me on today. I appreciate it, and I do get fired up. But I hope some people reach out to you because not because they owe you anything, but because they owe themselves like the chance to like check this out a little deeper.
Just check it out. We'll talk
Thanks,
soon.
man. Talk
Thanks.
to you later, buddy.